Okay, I got a battle for Mudquaza's tournament against what's his name? TheShinyAbsol. That's it. So anyway, I leave with no cuts, please, because Scizor's banned and whatnot. So I got to Puppy Poe because I figure, well, I can give it some juice and it'll get paralyzed because it's tea juice stuff things. So I give it some lagging tail because lagging tails are okay, I suppose. And I was not expecting to outspeed there, to be honest, but apparently I can. So he waterfalls and I surprisingly live, which is just like, what? So then I thunder punch and he surprisingly lives, and I'm thinking, what the crap kind of thing is going on here? I mean, seriously, what? Lopunny should have died, and Gyarados should have died, and whatever. So I die, and then he keeps living for some reason, and then I go back out to my Scyther because I can just kill it off with a bug bite. Which is awesome, by the way, because base 90 power. Hooray. So now he brings out Eddizard, and he wants to start scamming the neighborhood kids, so he takes out a quarter, and he's like, hey guys, look at this plush doll, you can play the drum on it. And everybody's like, oh my god, I need to get one of those. So he starts playing the drum on it to advertise for customers, because he wants to steal from the kids of the neighborhood. And then he gets a Sally Berry boost, which is weird, because I don't know why you get Sally Berries out of buying stuff. Maybe he went to get a Sally Berry flavored Jawbreaker. So I killed the substitute with Surf, and the doll no longer works anymore, because it's made of twine and tape and whatnot, and the water just destroyed it. And then he earthquakes, and I surprisingly take it. And I'm like, what? You quake open the ground, and then I live. That okay, whatever. In the ocean blue, you're awesome. So I get some leftover recovery because gotta eat leftover parts of that doll. And then he sends out a Lucario, and I'm like, okay, I really don't want to take this thing. So I go out to my Lugia because Lugia can take anything from this Lucario, anything. As you can see, Orsteer does nothing, and I'm able to recover almost all of it back with leftovers as he goes for a Shadow Ball, because he likes throwing balls of Shadow. And after all this, I'm like, oh my god, Maria, I'm so awful, I better reflect on my past and see if I can find anything worth living for. And I'm like, oh my god, he's like a blue hedgehog. So I've started just walling him here because I really need to just stall out things here, just because this team is surprisingly stally with Lugia on it. So he gets the special turn strap as I roost, which doesn't really matter that much because Lugia is just a freaking beast, god, monster ball thingy. And then he does another Shadow Ball at Suzuka, Twilight Suzuka, which is what I need to after because I was listening to that song while I made it. So I get leftovers recovery, and he vacuum waves because he wants to wave his vacuum at me because he thought this would be one of those agility sub Pattaya sets, I think. And so I just yawn because why not? And he doesn't kill me. And now he goes for Orceer, and I figure, well, I better just stay in anyways, because there's no sense in switching out. I don't need this thing, really. And if I did live, I can get a Torn boosted Surf off, and I don't know why he didn't switch. I guess he just wanted to see if he could kill that thing off and possibly have no problems afterwards. So I go back out to No Cuts, please, because, yeah, I like Scyther. And then he sends out Vileplume, because Vileplume is a cool Pokemon. I like Vileplume. So I get Swords up, and I Bug Bite, and I was not expecting this to kill at all. I mean, seriously, I did not expect that because Vileplume is rather beastly, but I suppose his isn't. So now he goes out to Electabird, which is his Zapdos, and I go for Quick Attack because I figure I'm going to be slower anyways, but he goes for Aerial Ace out of all the strangest reasons of moves. I don't know why you would use Aerial Ace, especially since it gets Drill Peck. So he starts Aerial Acing with cards and whatnot, and he's like, hey, you want to see a card trick? And I'm like, no! So then he Thunderbolts and kills off my Scyther, which it doesn't really matter that much because I've pretty much got this in the bag and in the Ziploc bag, I suppose. So now I go out to Death Becomes You because Garchomp has win, and I Dragon Claw him to death. So now he brings out his signature Pokemon, which is a TheShinyAbsol. And I got Namey Fun because I just got tired of naming these things funny name. So he Sucker Punches because I knew that's what he was going to do. Why else would he send that out? So now I reflect as he goes for a Swords Dance, and he's like, haha, I'm going to win, good game. And I'm like, no, you're not. So he goes for another Sucker Punch, and I Toxic. And he gets hurt by his poison, which doesn't really matter that much because his food he's eating is not really good for him. So he tries Sucker Punching again, thinking he'll actually attack, but no, I'm not going to because I can just sit here and stall for days. So he Stone Edges, and he gets a totally meaningful crit. I mean, I would have won the game without that crit. And he dies. So, in the ocean blue, fails to convince Charlie. So now I go back out to Namey Fun, because I figure Sucker Punch is coming, and I can just keep stalling off his moves, because I have pressure, and he has like 8 PP for both moves. And so I set up another Reflect, so I can take Stone Edge rather well than, I can just keep stalling this thing out and kill it eventually. And I'm fairly certain that he's out of Sucker Punch PP by now, or he's not just going to go for it because he knows that I'm probably not going to attack. So I decided to just let him die from Toxic, and now he goes up to his last, which is a Sleeping Lucario. And I figure I can just keep stalling until it dies, because, Lucario is good, but it just isn't able to take out Lugia, because Lugia is a freaking monster. And I take the Shadow Ball like a boss, and then I cut off my wings, and I just sit there and just look at myself in my mirror that I set up a couple of minutes ago to protect myself from physical attacks, and then I Ice Beam and kill him off. So yeah, that was a good game, TheShinyAbsol. I don't know why you have Aerial Ace on your Zapdos, but whatever. Anyways, I go on to round 2, and congratulations on Mudquaza for getting 2,000 subs. Hooray for Alex.